Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm Reverend Anna. I'm the Senior Minister of Unity of Austin, and I want to share some thoughts with you about this idea. We're all in this together. Here's a quote from Dr. Maya Angelou. Hate, it's caused a lot of problems in the world, but it has not solved one yet. And here's a statement from God transcribed by an anonymous person. God said, "That thing about loving your neighbor, I meant it. And by the way, your neighbor probably won't look like you or think like you." And this is from Jesus in the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verse 34. "I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another." What do you do when someone in your community is targeted and threatened? You find a way to stand with them. You let them know that you see and hear what was done or said. If there's a concrete way that you can effectively help, you do so. If it's relevant to speak up publicly, you do that. You let them know that they're not alone. This is what love looks like. We get used to categorizing people by outer appearances. What color is their skin? What did they believe? Where do they live? And on and on. It's normal to notice differences and similarities. That's how our brain works. Differences are necessary and are meant to be celebrated. Nature is the portrait of that truth. The problem comes in when differences become distorted into reasons to fear or reasons to hate. As we grow spiritually, it becomes more and more clear to us that the real issue at stake is whether or not we know who we are. And that determines whether we know who other people are. And that determines whether we will fuel the old, worn-out fires of fear and hate, or whether we will follow the spiritual command to love. Today, I attended an IACT, the Interfaith Action of Central Texas, event at the B'nai Abraham Synagogue. Leaders of wide spectrum of faiths, Austin City officials, law enforcement and fire department officers, business leaders, and state elected officials were present. The purpose of the gathering was to read publicly the statement of support for and alliance with our Austin Jewish community. You may be aware that there have been several anti-Semitic, racist, and homophobic incidents in Austin over the last several weeks. Anti-Semitic banners hung over a Mopac overpass, vandalizing of Anderson High School's buildings with slurs, and on Sunday evening, a small fire set at the doors of the congregation Beth Israel. Of the many important words spoken today, the ones that stood out to me the most powerfully were those of Mayor Steve Adler. He said, "No one should have to be afraid. Every person deserves to feel like they belong." The only way that happens, friends, is when we know who we are, all in this together, and we will not sit by silently when our neighbors are targeted. We pray, we speak, we act. That's how we transform our world. That's how we love. I invite you to read here the statement of support, and I'm going to share it with you. This is from Interfaith Action Council of Central Texas, or IACT, and it says, "We stand united with our Jewish community here in Austin. No hate in the Lone Star State." It reads, "We're people of diverse faiths, cultures, and backgrounds from all facets of the Austin and Central Texas community. We express grief, sadness, and anger at the dehumanizing eruptions of hate in our community that have been experienced recently. We believe in the sovereign right that all are born equal and all are born good. We believe in religious freedom and the right for people to pray and worship in peace. We condemn all hate and acts of violence upon any of our faith communities. Hateful acts of intimidation to incite violence is unacceptable, and we will not be silent. We stand united with our Jewish community as they are targeted and victimized by acts of anti-Semitism. We pledge to continue to work together as diverse and committed leaders to achieve this vision of a peace-filled and safe community where everyone is valued." I cherish that statement because it is so congruent with my own values and so congruent with our values as Unity of Austin. Thanks so much for joining me. God bless you in the love and the light of the living Christ.